Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you enjoyed your long weekend. As you know, we don't have class Wednesday due to the inauguration and related problems here in the district. So I'm recording this short video to give you some of the content that you would have gotten in class on Wednesday so that you're able to work on your memo assignment. So your main goal this week, though we don't have class, is going to be to do two things. First, make sure you complete the readings and annotate at least one of those readings using Hypothesis, which is that app we talked about last week. These readings include a lot of material on this week's assignment, which is the memo. You're going to be submitting your memo at the end of next week, but this week you should focus on drafting that memo. So ideally, when we see each other again on Monday, you should have finished one or two sections of your memo. Now, the focus of your memo is the topic that you want to explore for the semester. So today, which is Tuesday, and Wednesday, I'm going to be posting feedback on your research questions from this weekend. Once you've read that feedback, I want you to pick one of the two topics, one of the two sets of questions, and I want you to start putting together your memo based on that set of questions. So let's talk a little bit about this assignment. Your readings this week are going to tell you a lot about the memo as a genre. What the memo does, what we use it for, what it looks like, how it works. We're using a version of the standard business memo in this class. Basically, we're just taking a regular business memo and we're going to use it to present our intended research topic. And you're going to be presenting this memo to me, but also to the class as a whole. That's your audience, me and the class. And you're going to try to answer 3 questions in your memo. First, what is your intended research topic? What do you plan to explore? Second, why do you think your topic is significant? And in terms of significance, think not just significant for you, though that's important, but also why is this significant for your audience? Why would we want to read your project? Why do you think it's important for the world, for your classmates, for the district, for your community? Why does it matter? And then your third question, what are the 2 or 3 disciplinary perspectives you think you'll need to use to explore this topic? So we talked last week about sort of the different ways we can approach a particular question or topic, the different disciplinary perspectives. So in this memo, I want you to start claiming some. These don't have to be the disciplinary perspectives you end up using by the end of the semester. Things are going to change, but I want you to lay out a plan. So I think I'm going to come at my questions, at my topic, from these 2 or 3 different perspectives. So these are the questions you're trying to answer in the memo. Let's talk a little bit about what goes into a memo, what makes the memo. So when you're writing a memo, and you're going to see this in the readings and the viewings this week, purpose is paramount. So a memo is a very short document. You'll see the word count for this assignment is quite low. You basically have a page, maybe a page and a half, not much more space than that. So your goal really has to be to lay out as concisely as you can your topic, its significance, and that disciplinary plan of attack. To make that happen, you really need to focus on clarity and concision. So your writing has to be clear, it has to be to the point, and you don't have a lot of space to repeat yourself. This can be a challenge because a lot of times academic writing rewards us for being long-winded. So when I've worked with students in the writing center, when I've tutored students, oftentimes they feel like their challenge is how do I stretch an idea to 1,000 words, 1,500 words, 2,000 words. Your goal here is to keep it under 300. So you don't really have space for that kind of messing around and stretching out ideas. You're going to need all of the space you have. When we meet on Monday, we're going to talk about some strategies for writing with more concision that are going to be helpful. But for now, just keep in mind, you don't have a ton of space. Because of that, organization is going to be instrumental in your success. You're going to have to use short paragraphs, use subheadings, use bullet lists, and really make use of the memo format you're going to learn about in this week's readings. If you use that format, It's going to save you a lot of time and space guiding your reader. The format is going to guide your reader for you. Finally, closely related to that, in the memo, form and function blend. The format of that memo is going to line up directly with the content. And you'll see that not just in this research memo, but if you need to write memos for work, for internships, things like that, you will see the memo lends itself to really concise communication because you're using subheadings, bullet lists, you've got a header, you've got a subject, really short paragraphs. So the memo is really about making a point, supporting it very quickly, and moving on. On that last point, I want to make some suggestions for how you approach this. Your reading lays out the form of a memo. So a memo has these 6 content areas that you see here. Make sure you use them. They are going to help you do the work you need to do in the space you have. So you're going to have a basic heading. You'll see that format in that Purdue Owl reading. After that, you're going to have a short opening. Keyword here is short. You're going to give the reader a brief overview of the memo's topic. And then you're going to move on to provide context. This is really important. You've introduced the topic, so what's the context? In this case, what's the event, circumstance, or background your reader needs to know to understand what problem or issue you're trying to tackle. After you provide that context, you move into your task. So you're telling your reader what you are doing or what you're going to do to address this issue or problem or question. After you've done that, you get to move into discussion. So this is where you have a little more space. These first 3 points after heading, opening, context, and task, you may have addressed in 1 sentence each, or maybe 2 sentences at most. When you get to discussion, now you have the space for maybe 2 or 3 full paragraphs. You've got some space here. You can do a little more descriptive writing if you need to. You can bring in some evidence if you want. And then you have a closing. The closing is really your call to action. What do you want out of this? And in this case, your memo is directed to me and your classmates. You're proposing a research topic. You're saying, this is what I want to write about. So your closing really just needs to say, hey, what do I want you to do? Which is probably review and approve my idea. So it's quite simple. You've got flexibility here. I don't want to put you in a box with this writing assignment, but I do want to give you some basic guidelines. Here's one way you could map your memo onto those 6 content areas. The heading's the heading, right? Don't need to worry about that. In the opening, you could just introduce your topic, your issue. Here's the problem. You could immediately follow with context. That could be within the same paragraph. That could be another paragraph where you try to answer that question about significance. Why does your topic matter? Think of personal significance, but as I mentioned before, think a lot about community significance, global significance. Why does this matter to your readers? And then after that, you can take task and discussion kind of together. In task, you might want to tell the reader what you think you're going to be able to show. What do you think your project is going to tell us? And of course, you're really right at the formation stages, right? So you may not know this. Keep that in mind. You may not have a detailed answer that you'd want to commit to, but you should have some idea. You should have kind of a working idea of where you think you're going to get. And you might use discussion to talk about how you're going to get there using these different disciplinary frames. That would be a really easy way to approach this. So 1 short paragraph of 2 or 3 sentences for each of the disciplinary frames you think you're going to use, and then a closing where you thank your reader and say, hey, here's what's next. So this would be a really straightforward way to use this memo assignment to answer those 3 questions. You don't have to do it this way. I never want to tell you, you must do things in this particular way, because that's not how writing works. We're very rarely given specific guidelines. This section has this section has this. It's much more likely that we're going to be given a set of questions and some space and told, do what feels right. So I know this is a lot to cover, a lot to think about. Please use what I've outlined here, along with what you see in this week's readings, to try to tackle part of your memo. When we come together on Monday, we're going to have a chance to talk a little bit more about the memo. And next Wednesday, we're going to do some workshops that'll help you really figure out if your memo is doing what it needs to do. But for now, use this guidance, use the readings, use this video, and try to come up with a draft of your memo this weekend. Again, try to tackle, let's say, 2 of these sections. If you're able to do that, you'll be in pretty good shape. Thank you for listening.